It's so sunny today. Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Michelle and I am in my home studio right now in Philadelphia, and it is a beautiful sunny day, so I thought it would be a great opportunity to show you a little bit more in depth of what my studio space looks like. If you've joined me in previous videos, you've probably seen in shots here and there, but I kind of wanted to give you a better idea of the layout and kind of the tools and things that I like to use the most in my studio, as well as just give you a kind of realistic glimpse of the space that I work in to create almost all of my work. All right, so here is the view from the door to give you an idea. This room is about, honestly, I would say like 10 feet by 6 feet. I'm not positive, I'll have to get a measuring tape, but it's not a huge room. It definitely has a lot of stuff crammed into it, and it's a little bit unorganized. I know, I made the best of it. I'm an artist. I definitely know that I have some clutter tendencies, but I left some of it in here for you because I wanted to give you a realistic glimpse of what my workspace looks like, and that is far from being perfect and tidy and organized. Okay, and to give you some super quick background, my partner and I bought this house in 2019, and when we moved in, the second floor was completely wall-to-wall carpeted, which we knew we did not want with 3 cats. So priority was getting my studio done first because it's how I make money. So we prioritized getting this room done, and I just kind of, for some reason, told myself that we could do it ourselves, which we did. It took a long time, but we successfully did our own floors on the second floor of our house. I think it still looks really good. It's so unique, and each room pretty much has a different pattern on the floor, so just something about it is really special for us. That being said, it was probably the most intense pattern that I could have picked for this floor, but I still really enjoy it. I think it's really special, and it just makes my studio feel really unique to me. All right, so floors aside, that was the first thing that we did. The second thing I did was cut out my bench top. So I have this like custom piece of wood that I cut out with a jigsaw, so it has this nice curve there. If you know about jeweler's benches, they generally have that, so then you can sit in a little bit further with your bench pin sticking out in the middle. And I still have yet to do it, but I need to get something to catch my stuff that falls, and I just wasn't sure if I wanted to build a drawer or if I just wanted to have some sort of like cloth or leather piece, but still have to do that because dropping things is really annoying because then you have to go look for it. But if you have something to catch stuff for you, it makes it a lot easier. Yeah. And yeah, like I said, I did not really clean up my bench too much. I wanted to have it as realistic as possible for y'all. I'm not trying to lie to you here. But yeah, this is actually pretty good for me. Everything's kind of compartmentalized into clutter boxes by priority. On my immediate desk, I have things that I am working on currently. This is for my little like jump rings and stuff. I have a magnetic board here that holds all of my files and my burrs and drills. I have a pegboard here that organizes my pliers, cutters, and my hammers, as well as any sort of precision like measuring stuff. I have my calipers over here and my like wire gauge reader. And yeah, I don't know if all jewelers have this, but I have always had a mirror above my bench because not just for vanity purposes and for taking selfies, but it's also just very useful to have a mirror nearby when you're trying to understand the scale of, you know, like how big the jewelry is that you're making. So it's just useful for try on purposes. is a picture of my partner when we were in Venice. I also think it's a good idea to keep things that are inspiring around your creative corners because, you know, you gotta know what you're working for. Not too much on the walls over there, kind of just cluttered all on my bench. I have my light, I have a little bit of artwork on the wall, my flex shaft here, a lot of organizational things that aren't actually really organized, but they try to be. To the right of it, I have my Orion welding system, which you've probably seen before. I have my wax injecting setup here. And up on the windowsill, I have a lot of the molds that I need for my wax injector. So I have those nearby. I know this ledge is like completely disgusting and could really use a scrub, but it's okay. I also have this set of stone setting examples that I made in college, which, wow, like they're a little tarnished, but I used to be skilled. Of course, a couple trinkety things, a photo of me and my friends from Halloween. And then to the right of that, I have my messy little soldering setup, which I know has a lot of flux and everything, but it works for me. I definitely solder a decent bit, but it's by no means like the majority of my practice. So my little setup is fine. This spins and that's really useful. And of course, with my soldering setup comes my torch setup, which this is my oxyacetylene tank, which I really like because it only requires one tank to work, and I only have to refill it every like 4 months or so, which I think is pretty good. And then right behind it, I have my argon tank, which I use for my welding system. And then right behind that is my pickle pot, which is used for cleaning up things after I solder it. And then underneath my desk, besides the full trash can that we will pretend is not there, in the left is actually my scrap bin. So anytime I have like metal scraps, I throw them down there and try to keep them all in one spot because, you know, those things add up and that is money essentially. So the one on the left is my like bronze, copper, etc. one, and then that little one on the right is my sterling silver one. Anytime I ever have gold scraps, I keep those completely separate. They don't just get tossed underneath my desk like this. And then right next to it, I have my tumbling polisher setup, which the bin is on the other side of the room, but that's where it polishes and spins. And another setup that I use pretty often when I'm hammering is my just wood block that I have here, which is just like a wooden tree trunk that I have on top of an Amazon box to help dampen the sound a little bit. And then my partner actually carved out like a square here for this block to fit into. So this is pretty much stuck in here. It's been stuck for a really long time. I think it might be permanently in there, but this is what I hammer onto, and the wood and the cardboard really deaden the sound pretty well, I think. Yeah, I don't know. That's just what I use. I've never gotten a complaint from my neighbors, but maybe you can hear it, maybe you can't. I'm sorry. And then right above there is where I keep my aprons hung. Underneath the desk here is a bunch of random shipping boxes that don't necessarily have a purpose right now, but that's where they live. And this is where my shop vac lives. And then above here, I put a little shelf in so I could have a buffing setup, kind of in this like, this used to be a closet, but I took the door off and basically made it a working space. But yeah, I have this Tupperware bin that I flipped over, cut out little spots for my hands. It kind of helps with the dust, but as you can see, it definitely could use a little wipe down. It's a little dusty in there. To the right here, I have a self-portrait I made in printmaking back in college. It's It's just on like craft paper. It's very, very dirty. This is the chair that I sit in when I buff things for a while. Sometimes I just stand, but it is nice to have an option for sitting. I trash picked this a long time ago on Callow Hill Street in Philadelphia. Definitely still a really good find, I think. It needs a little bit of reupholstering, but that's a good stool. It's a good stool. And then you probably just saw it, but I don't really want to show you what's going on behind this plant because there's a shelf there, but it's literally so disorganized, and I kind of have just been like shoving stuff over there so it's kind of out of sight. So yeah, I might not show you that whole thing. But over here I have sheet metal storage. So I have like sheet metal and bezel wire in those folders, and then I have them organized like that. And then up here I have my coils of metal going from smallest gauge to largest. At least that's how it should be. As you can see, my left side is my sterling silver side. I guess I need to re-up on some silver because I have nothing hanging there, but I have a lot of bronze I'm trying to work through. And then also just, yeah, more pegboard storage, things for other random projects, little candy cane. Why is there a candy cane? I don't know. And then once again, I thought that this video was going to be short, but it's probably not going to be. But this is my last little section I'm going to show you in the studio, so bear with me. We're almost done. But this is my packing station. It did not always used to be up here because it actually gets pretty dusty in here, but I've just been trying my best to keep it organized and dusted as I live my life, which is easier said than done. But I know it looks a little bit crazy right now, but it's actually kind of organized for me. Let me explain it to you. It's like, these are the boxes I use all the time. They're kind of like right here. And then this is the stuff that I like pack like plant stakes and stuff with. This tissue over here is what I pack regular orders with. Over here I have some like bubble mailers that are compostable that I've been using recently. And then here I have my scale for weighing things, my label printer, which I love so much. If you don't have a label printer yet, get yourself one. You will, it just saves so much time. It is so good. And then this is usually where I keep my laptop connected for printing and shipping. Over here I have my things that I put in the orders usually. So if you need a bag, a linen bag here with my stamp, as well as like the postcards I put in there and my business cards. And if I see a piece that needs to be like polished up real quick before I send it out, I try to use this polishing cloth there. I've got some packing tape, scissors, Sharpies, just general things you need for shipping jewelry. And yeah, the general cart that I think almost every artist has, shipping stuff in the middle, a bunch of yarn and stuff because I at one point manically bought a ton of crocheting and needlepoint stuff on the internet and then never really used it. Here is my printer that only works about 50% of the time on a good day. And yeah, actually on the floor there, like a well-cherished thing that it should be is my work from my college days. So maybe that could be its own video in itself because obviously I'm not treating it right. And then up here I have a computer that I barely ever use because it's really, really old and I have not turned it on in a long time, along with some more artwork that I have from college. Like, look at this bowl. Like, I made this bowl. That's kind of crazy. And up here, of course, I have some artwork by some local artists that I love. I will do my best to tag them now if I can, along with an old sign of mine that I used to take to pop-ups and markets before I switched my business name to Keita Handmade. So I still have it hung because I like it. And yeah, so this is a south-facing window, so it gets a lot of sunlight. And unfortunately, I've kind of forgotten about my cacti that I have in here, so they're kind of crispy boys, but it's okay. There's a lot of other plants in my house that get a lot of love, whereas those ones, I guess, don't. And then just a little sun catcher here by Ordinary O. I wish the sun was hitting it perfectly right now because it is so pretty. It literally casts like rainbows just all over the wall, and it makes my studio feel like a disco party. I'll try to find a video if I can. All right, everyone, I think that is all I have to show you today. Thank you so much for joining me on this hopefully short but sweet studio tour. It's just so amazing to see the spaces in which people create, because something about it is just like so personal, you know? But that being said, I'm glad that I was able to document what my studio looks like at this point in my life, because I definitely see it changing in the future, my modes of creation. If you watched my last video, you saw that I was talking about maybe creating while I travel on the road eventually. So definitely interested to see what kind of studio that turns into. But for now, it's really sweet to see this slice of time in my artistic history and be able to look back on it. But anyway, I'm glad you joined me for that journey. And if you made it this far in the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean so much to me. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Thank you all so much. I'll see you next week.